Necessity, as they say, is the mother of invention. But sometimes necessity takes the long way around. For example, canned food was invented about 1800, but it was nearly 50 years before the first dedicated can opener was created. Of course, cans were opened in the meantime. Since the first wide-scale use of canned food was for Napoleon's army, a bayonet was commonly, if dangerously, used. Other suggested methods include a hammer and chisel, or even a rock. I don't have a bayonet, but I do have a sharp rock, and it's even kinda clean. It works about as well as you might expect. A hammer and chisel are an improvement, but is still far from ideal. And I'm not sure my chisel is any cleaner than my rock. As canned food found its way from the battlefield to the kitchen, there came a flood of hopefully helpful inventions. The first dedicated can opener was patented by British inventor Robert Yates in 1855. I've been unable to get my hands on the original patent, but I did discover this image, which is almost enough to go on. Time to try it out. Not as easy or as safe as modern can openers. It's certainly better than a hammer and chisel, and undoubtedly safer than a bayonet. Ezra Warner has the first American patent on a can opener from the year 1858. It has a replaceable blade and a curious bit at the end that rotates. It's more difficult to use than the Yates model. Starting the cut is much more difficult, and it's harder to continue it. I still don't know what the rotating part is supposed to do. In fact, it works well enough without it. The replaceable blade is a nice improvement over the Yates model, but overall, it doesn't get high marks. Both of these are pretty fiddly to use. Didn't somebody invent something that didn't require as much coordination? Well, from the 1850s onwards, the Patent Office received thousands of new proposals for can openers. In particular, this one. Although its function is pretty obvious, it has a subtlety that belies its appearance. The teeth are arranged at different heights, so they progressively cut into the can, theoretically making it easier to cut through the tin. It says in the patent that it was intended to be cheap and easy to make. The theory doesn't seem to match up with reality. Although the blades were pretty sharp, I could barely scratch the can just using hand pressure. Applying a mallet eventually got results, even if that result was soup spraying everywhere. On the upside, it leaves a less jagged edge than the others, but it only makes one size of hole, which might be a problem. Advances in manufacturing in the 20th century made cans easier to open and can openers more sophisticated. While the circle of blades didn't catch on, the pivot and blade style Robert Yates pioneered has had a much longer life. Folding versions are standard military issue, and you can still buy similar models today. And while pop-tops, invented by Irma Fraze in 1959, are becoming more common, the old-fashioned can and their openers are here to stay.